Monday, Israel's Air Force carried out several strikes in Beirut suburbs after an intense night of airstrikes.
A DHL cargo plane crashed on approach to an airport in Lithuania's capital and skidded into a house on Monday morning.
Coordinating Minister Budi Gunawan has stressed that the regional elections are ready to roll as the preparations have been completed.
And the Indonesian Navy has capped off its ports visit diplomatic mission in the South Pacific. And we have more of the latest update coming right here from Nation, right here on the C Morning Show. But before that, we will kick off our program, circling back to one of our headlines as of Monday. Israel Air Force carried out several strikes in Beirut suburbs after an intense night of airstrikes.
That added the numbers of casualties in the last 3 days, where at least 84 people were killed and 213 others injured in Israeli strikes on different parts of Lebanon.
The Ministry of Public Health said in a statement that at least 29 people were killed and 67 injured in Beirut, while the southern provinces of Sur and Nabatea recorded a total of 19 dead and 72 wounded.
In the eastern regions of Bekaa and Baalbek, Herbel, a total of 36 dead and 69 wounded were recorded, according to the aforementioned department, which also recorded 5 wounded in the central province of Mount Lebanon. With this new count, the death toll rises to 3,754 and the number of wounded to 15,626.
The vast majority of these deaths, around 3,000, have been recorded since September the 23rd, when Israel began an unprecedented bombing campaign against different parts of Lebanon, especially in the south and east, but also against the southern suburbs of Beirut. And in the next 24 hours, it will be very crucial right now, because as we know, there are some ceasefire deals that is led by the U.S. and also by the French presidency, where U.S. President Joe Biden and also Emmanuel Macron are expected to announce a possible ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel within the next 24 hours now. And this was accorded by 4 senior Lebanese that was giving the sources. Earlier, the Pan-Arab Asharq al-Awsat newspaper or news outlet reported that Biden and Macron would declare a 60-day ceasefire on Tuesday, the local time. The discussion the United States government had the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah was positive, are headed in the right direction. We are close. This was stated by the White House representative. The discussion were very constructive, but again, we know that nothing is done yet until there is a deal on the table. Now, from the French camp, they said that we're continuing to work with our American partners towards that direction. We hope all involved will seize this opportunity as soon as possible. Again, this announcement came shortly after senior Lebanese sources said Biden and Macron were expected to announce the ceasefire deal by tomorrow at their time. But, you know, as we know, nothing is a deal. Nothing will be concrete until 2 sides will say, yes, you know, we'll make this deal, right? Yes. And we know that as we just reported, it gets very intensified. Deaths, bombings between the Hezbollah camp and also the Israel camp. There are some strikes that happen in Lebanon, also in Tel Aviv. Yeah. So it's just right now is really in a deadpan and deadlock, but hopefully the ceasefire deal between Hezbollah and also Israel can really pan out.
Yes, even though it is very counterproductive, as you mentioned, the strikes have been intensified, yet they say that they're very close to a deal. We'll keep you updated on that.
That's right.
Yes, folks. And still from the region, as Palestinians living in a refugee camp in the occupied West Bank examine the damage to several homes that were struck in the area, leaving several people injured.
It remains unclear, though, whether the damage was caused by rockets or interceptor missiles.
The Palestine Red Crescent reported 13 injuries. They were caused by an interceptor missile that struck several homes in Tul Karim refugee camp.
And the West Bank has faced a surge of violence throughout the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. The health ministry says nearly 800 people have been killed in this area, with more than 160 of them 18 and even younger.
Many have been killed in fighting with the Israeli military, but Palestinians throwing rocks at others not involved in confrontations have also been killed.
Hundreds of mourners gathered on Monday in the West Bank town of Yabat to mourn two Palestinian men.
The Palestinian Health Ministry says Israeli forces killed two people, including a 13-year-old in the occupied West Bank.
The health ministry identified the two victims as 13-year-old Mohammed Hamarsheh and 20-year-old Ahmad Zaid. It did not disclose details about the circumstances behind their deaths. It was the latest bloodshed in the West Bank, which had faced a surge of violence throughout the 13-month war in Gaza.
Many have been killed in fighting with the Israeli military, but Palestinians throwing rocks and others not involved in confrontations have also been killed. There has also been an increase in Palestinian attacks against Israeli in the West Bank since the war in Gaza began.
The Israeli military said the two had thrown something at forces overnight near Yabat and that the forces had responded by opening fire.
Now, elsewhere in the region, at least 17 people are missing after a tourist yacht sank in the Red Sea following warnings about rough seas, where this was cited or stated by the Egyptian officials on Monday.
The Red Sea region governor, Amir Hanafi, reported that the rescuers saved 28 south of the Marsa Alam, with some were airlifted for medical treatment.
The yacht carried 31 tourists from various countries and 14 crew members. The UK Foreign Office confirmed it is providing support to British nationals and their families, as British citizens were reportedly among the missing.
The distress call came just before dawn Monday from the yacht, which had departed from Marsa Alam for a 5-day journey. The cause of the sinking, involving a 4-deck wooden-hulled motor yacht, is unclear.
On Saturday, Egypt's meteorological authority had warned off turbulence and high waves in the Red Sea, advising against maritime activity on Sunday throughout Monday.
A representative from Dive Pro Life aboard the yacht operator declined to provide details when contacted. The yacht, built in 2022, can hold 36 passengers.
The Egyptian military is coordinating rescue efforts while many tourist companies have limited or stopped Red Sea travel due to regional conflicts.
In other news, a DHL cargo plane had crashed on approach to an airport in Lithuania, in the capital, and skidded into a house on Monday morning.
The incident killed a Spanish crew member, but not harming anyone on the ground.
The cause of the accident is still unknown, and an investigation is already underway.
A surveillance video showed the plane descending normally as it approached the airport before sunrise and then exploding into a huge ball of fire behind a building. The Lithuanian Airport Authority identified the aircraft as a DHL cargo plane arriving from Leipzig, Germany.
The cargo aircraft was carrying 4 people when it crashed at 5:30 a.m. local time. One person, a Spanish citizen, was declared dead, and the other 3 crew members were Spanish, German, and Lithuanian citizens were injured.
The head of Lithuania's firefighting service said that the plane skidded a few hundred meters, and photos showed smoke rising from a damaged structure in an area of barren trees.
The DHL aircraft was operated by Swiftair, a Madrid-based contractor. DHL said in an emailed comment that the plane made a forced landing about a kilometer from the Vilnius airport.
As women empowerment on the rise, the UN Women in Indonesia has announced a 16-day campaign against violence on women.
The campaign will focus on providing assistance for victims, on filing complaints, and the legal process, while UNFPA will also work for the inclusion of reproductive health in school curriculum.
The UN Women in Indonesia has announced a 16-day campaign against gender violence. Kicking off on November 25th, the campaign also marks the 25th International Day to Erase Violence Against Women. The campaign will invite parties to reflect on the progress and challenge in eliminating the violence against women and advancing gender equality and women's rights. They will also collaborate with the Foreign Ministry to develop a chatbot to provide reliable information on preventing violence and trafficking, study femicide for the National Commission for Women, and develop the Delilah app for violence against women with HIV.
Yang menarik dari Delilah adalah aplikasinya tidak berhenti di recording, tapi juga ditindaklanjuti oleh teman-teman yang melakukan pendampingan terhadap korban. Jadi apapun laporannya didengar, kemudian dilindungi, dan korban ditemani sampai melaporkan kasusnya. Ingat teman-teman bahwa tidak semua kasus yang dilaporkan hanya dengan.
So just a bit of data regarding the violence, sexual violence against women in Indonesia. The data showed that there have been 34,682 women that have been victims of sexual violence throughout 2024. And this is the data from August. We'll keep you updated on all the campaign against the violence against women in our program. And now we're up for our first break, but we have news from around Indonesia when we come back only on the C Morning Show.
What's happening now?
President Prabowo Subianto and Vice President Gibran Rakabuming Raka that took their oaths of office at the Parliament building earlier today.
Exclusive interviews and all the latest in entertainment.
We don't talk only about the money, but we talk about the timing.
Spice up your afternoon with a variety of up-to-date information.
Buenos Aires, Argentina, where Liam Payne passed away on Thursday.
Don't miss it, the 3-hour news show, every day at 5 p.m.
And I'm starting my journey old style in this beautiful traditional Felucca sailboat. There's no wind to sail this time, Abea. Hello. Hi. When I found these guys, it's like Noah's Ark back here.
Since I was young, I had an intense desire to discover the world around me.
This is my first time driving in South America.
That hasn't changed, just the level of adventure. Now, every journey has a purpose. And each time I venture out to explore new destinations around the globe.
Yeah. It's a biggie under there.
I am following my travel quest.
I'm Eric Hansen. When I see a trail, I see more than a path from point A to point B. A good trail is the ultimate opportunity to explore, to discover new landscapes, and to challenge myself. When I don't have a pack on my back, I'm thinking about my next big adventure, because my mission is simple. My mission is to discover the world's most epic trails.
House of Blessing adalah rumah berkat. Jadi harapannya kita bisa menjadi berkat untuk dogi-dogi yang terlantar ini. Kita berikan second chance ini. Wadah di mana kami bisa memayungi atau memberikan keadilan bagi hewan-hewan ini. Di mana kesejahteraan kehidupan mereka ini bisa terjadi di lingkungan kita ya manusia gitu.
Isu-isu sustainability ini dalam konteks bagaimana kita peduli kepada bumi, bagaimana mengelola yang terbuang dapat menjadi manfaat.
Salah satu upaya saya untuk mencintai alam dan merawat bumi. Kita membuat si tanaman nyaman seperti habitat aslinya.
Kita sangat percaya bahwa ini harus menjadi awareness dan harus dilakukan oleh setiap orang.
All right, folks, you're back again with us, and this is time for some international update. And first up, Political, Legal, and Security Affairs Coordinating Minister Budi Gunawan has stressed that the regional Elections are ready to roll now that security and logistical preparations have been completed.
He made the statement at a meeting with officials just yesterday, where he also called for neutrality among organizers.
The Indonesian regional elections are just around the corner, and officials held the last meeting on Monday to finalize the preparations. Political, Legal, and Security Affairs Coordinating Minister Budi Gunawan attended the meeting along with the electoral officials, Home Ministry delegates, and security forces. In his remarks, Gunawan confirmed that all the logistics have arrived in their respective districts and will be delivered to the polling stations on Tuesday. He also called for organizers to remain neutral in the polls.
Kualitas pilkada tentunya juga sangat ditentukan oleh netralitas dari seluruh penyelenggara, termasuk di dalamnya adalah aparat keamanan, ASN, pejabat-pejabat daerah sampai dengan tingkat desa. Terlebih hari ini telah dikuatkan oleh keputusan MK nomor 136 PUU 12 Romawi 2024 tentang sanksi pidana bagi aparat yang tidak netral. Oleh karenanya, Kemenko Polhukam selaku penanggung jawab Des Pilkada beserta Mendagri bersama TNI dan Polri terus melakukan langkah-langkah mengkoordinasikan untuk memastikan stabilitas keamanan dan politik dengan menangani setiap potensi gangguan dan potensi ancaman yang dapat mengganggu pelaksanaan Pilkada serentak tahun 2024.
For his part, Electoral Chief Muhammad Afifuddin urged the public to exercise their voting rights.
Kami dari KPU Republik Indonesia berharap masyarakat, teman pemilih sekalian datang ke TPS dengan situasi keriang gembiraan, menjaga situasi yang kondusif dan juga menghormati pilihan-pilihan yang berbeda dari masyarakat, sehingga kita bisa menjaga situasi hari H 27 November nanti pilkada kita berjalan dengan jurdil, berjalan dengan luber dan juga berintegritas dan juga berlangsung dengan damai. Dan pada saatnya kita semua menghasilkan atau mendapatkan hasil pilkada orang-orang atau pemimpin yang berkualitas yang menjalankan amanah sebagaimana pilihan masyarakat, pilihan pemilih pada hari pilkada.
The 27 November elections will be held in 545 regions, including 37 provinces, 415 regencies, and 93 cities.
Now, our next update comes from the Bintan Regency, as officials there have started distributing election logistics to remote areas, including Pambelan district.
In another news, on Monday, 4 police were hospitalized with severe injuries after a vehicle transporting logistics to the interior of Buru Island in Maluku fell off the road and into the ditch.
The incident due to poor road conditions.
4 police officers have been hospitalized for severe injuries following an accident during the distribution of electoral logistics in Buru Regency in Maluku. Their vehicle flipped over and fell off the road into a ditch on Monday as it headed for remote villages nestled in the mountains. The officers were then rushed to the nearest health center for first aid treatment, then to a hospital in Namlea. Following the accident, the rest of the group then continued the distribution on foot covering a distance of 7 kilometers. Maluku police spokesperson later told the media that there were 14 people on board, including locals and voting officers. He also attributed the accident to poor weather and road conditions.
Bahwa terjadi laka lantas terkait pergeseran logistik dan pengamanan personel kita pengamanan TPS di Desa Waimite, Kecamatan Vena Lesela. Untuk kondisi perjalanan pada saat itu hujan lebat dan memang untuk jalan di daerah sana kecil, mungkin terpeleset ke tepian, akhirnya ke jurang. Untuk kedalaman jurang kita belum bisa memastikan karena komunikasi kita dengan personel kita yang ada di TKP karena putus. Karena di TKP terjadinya kecelakaan, sinyal susah. Untuk personil yang menjadi korban itu 4 personil, sementara penanganan pertama di Puskesmas Wamlana.
On the same day, officials in Bintan Regency sent off a logistics shipment to the remote Tambelan district. The shipment departed Tanjung Uban port on the Bahtera Nusantara ferry. Bintan's electoral chief Haris Daulay stated that it would take about 19 hours for the logistics to reach Tambelan. They will be distributed across 11 polling stations, with each set to receive 11 packages of the logistics.
Takutnya keberatan ya. Pendistribusian logistik pilkada tahun 2024 tahap pertama. Hari ini kita kirimkan menuju Pelabuhan Tanjung Uban, Kampung Mendigi, menggunakan armada PT Pos Tanjung Pinang. Nanti setelah sampai di sana, nanti akan di-loading menggunakan kapal Bahtera Nusantara 03, kapal Roro yang kemudian berlayar menuju Tambelan. Diperkirakan keberangkatan kapal ini di sekitar jam 20 malam. Namun kemudian kita loading lebih awal supaya kemudian loading ini tidak mengganggu alur lalu lintas dengan penumpang reguler yang lain.
Meanwhile, Bintan Police Deputy Chief Commissioner Heri Sujati confirmed that 5 officers are overseeing the delivery.
Jadi 5 orang untuk mengamankan pengawalan barang dari KPU ini langsung ke Tambelan. 5 orang. Berangkat.
Dijemput langsung dengan Kapolsek Tambelan.
Iya, langsung dijemput dengan Kapolsek Tambelan.
The shipment includes ballots for the Riau Islands gubernatorial race and Bintan's regent election. There are over 3,900 ballots for each race for around 3,800 voters. CTD contributors reporting from Buru Maluku and Riau Islands.
Well, of course, right now in Indonesia, we're coming into the rainy season. We know now, of course, all the election commission committee, volunteers, law enforcement, the Indonesian military officers, they're all doing their job to ensure a very smooth sail of the regional election that will commence simultaneously across Indonesia. We've just saw that, you know, sometimes we just take it for granted that we're living in the greater Jakarta. It's very easy for us to go to the, voting polls, to the ballot box to cast our votes. But again, Indonesia consists